Shit We've Read is a proud member of BYLO Network, a network of geeky podcasts.
Please visit shitwe'veread.com to support the show.
Now, let's talk about some books.
Hello. Welcome to the first episode of 2024 with Shit We've Read. I'm very excited to be back and discussing The Road to Roswell by Connie Willis. Discussing that with me are going to be my co-hosts. I have Jason Rico here. Hello.
Hi, Happy New Year. How's it going, Laura?
Happy New Year. Good. It's going all right so far. Next we have Bella. How's it going?
Good. Ready to talk about more books this year. I'm excited.
Always going to talk about books.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a returning guest host. He was previously on the discussions for The Space Between Worlds and the Kaiju Preservation Society. You also know him from various podcasts on the BYLO Network, including the latest series God's Watch, which is also co-hosted by EmmaSkies, our After Dark co-host. Welcome back to the show, Sir Aaron Carter.
Hey, how you doing? That's me. Thank you for having me back.
We're happy
and for the first show of 2024. Wow, I feel special.
You're very special.
Oh, thank you.
No, we're very excited to have you back. We were trying to find the right episode, and we were excited to have you with us for this one.
Trying to find the right. Can I ask to show work? What was trying to find the right episode for me? What did that entail?
I have a spreadsheet I can show you later. I have notes. Way to go, Laura. Way to freeze up under pressure.
The conversations from your other episodes, we were like, maybe we should find something different.
Wow.
Honestly, well, okay. if I could do a little peek behind the curtain and reveal a little bit of the thought process, we found out through little birdie after our last recording that you perhaps weren't the most forthcoming with your opinions about that book.
Yeah, I know. I had a little talk with that birdie.
For sure. And so some of us. Yes, some of us thought we needed to do maybe a redo of something similar, but maybe a little different to see how you react to this one.
Yeah.
So that was part of the thought process.
I'll say this about my previous, because I'd like to consider myself a gentle person.
For sure.
So I don't tend to give the hard truth about certain things like a brick through a window, So I that's how I approach certain things. In 2024, we're going to get off that.
Hey.
We're going to go straight hardcore on things. So okay. I'm excited.
Nice. We're very excited too. Do we want to talk about God's Watch now or?
Oh yeah, no, So God's Watch, if you haven't listened to it by now, is a podcast that EmmaSkies and I do about Perseus Jackson and the Jackson 5.
Mm-hmm. Didn't realize they were related. Continue.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. Actually, it's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I don't know I am really unfamiliar with the series. She's read the books. She's so she's more familiar with it. My knowledge of the series is from a bad video game from the movie I think that came out a long time ago.
I did not know that existed.
I was working at I was working at GameStop.
Interesting.
Oh.
Okay. So that's all I know. So I'm going into it. If you've listened to any of the Watch series from, Dust Watch to, the other ones, I go in blind. She goes in knowledgeable, and we have a discussion afterwards. I feel like this one is more because we've already watched 4 episodes, and without spoiling, I think this is our first teen. I think you would call it. What's the genre for that age of like?
This would be
12,
middle grade.
Middle grade. Yeah, I think this is our first middle grade one. Because I don't know if His Dark Materials is middle grade. Is that like elementary maybe?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
That might still be middle grade.
It might be like in the middle, kind of between the two.
Like middle. Well, then forget everything I said. That's we're just gonna do. Yeah. So yeah. Well, listen, watch along, listen. We like people to watch, listen type situation. It's a fun time for everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited to listen to it. I was waiting for you guys to start releasing the episodes so that I can go back and forth like that.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I think it's the BYLO Watch series. They've done Grisha Watch, which we talk about like Shadow and Bone. They've done Gust Watch. Gust Watch, where you talk about Sweet Tooth. Dust Watch, which is Golden Compass, and then His Dark Materials, and then now this one, I believe. And it's fun whether you're a fan of the source material books or you're coming in blind. You get both perspectives, so there's something for everybody. So it's really fun to hear you and Emma kind of go back and forth, and you ask a lot of questions, and Emma does her best to answer.
Yeah. I can't wait to go through the rest of these episodes too, and then like any other future ones, maybe I don't know, Twilight. I don't know anything about that one.
That's insane to me. How?
Why? The possibilities are endless. So many series you could do. It's
endless. Yes.
I mean,
I just know they sparkle. That's all I know.
That's
because of the memes.
That's a pretty critical detail. So you know a lot. Given that you say you know nothing.
You don't need much more.
Okay, so sparkling vampires, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we jump into our conversation about the Road to Roswell, I wanted to ask you guys really quickly, what is the other shit we're reading? Aaron, what else are you reading right now?
Oh, you're just gonna throw me on the spot before I get my Goodreads up?
I can skip you if you need to.
No, that's fine. I literally I've been kind of heads down reading lately. So 2024 started off as Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, okay.
Been reading a lot of his stuff. So I just finished Words of Radiance in the Stormlight Archive. Loved that book. That was good. Went from Words to Radiance to Starsight, which is the second book in Skyward from Brandon Sanderson.
Mm-hmm.
Just today, I finished Sunreach, which is the 2.1. So it's a little novella in between for the Skyward series. So it's been Sanderson like crazy.
Nice.
And then, of course, the book we talked about today. But yeah, it's Sanderson.
He's a good writer. I'm a really big fan of the Skyward books.
I am too.
Thanks to Rico. I think that's the book that got me out of, back into reading.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's really good.
He's good. I think at times I sometimes feel like, all right, you're saying too much. Maybe it's the words of the Stormlight Archive stuff. But I'm like, I love all this stuff. Like, it's good. I hear you. Everything you're saying is good. There's a lot of it. It's like a lot of good food type of situation. It's like, I'm not going to eat all of this, but like, it's.
Yeah.
But, and I just, Yumi and the Painter. If you've never read that one, or Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, if you've never read that book, I suggest that. It's another Brandon Sanderson, by the way.
How many books has he written?
But that one is a standalone, so that's easier to get.
Yeah, it's a standalone. But apparently it's no, not even apparently. It is in his Cosmere though.
Yeah.
It's he's written a lot of books.
71, according to the internet, 32 novels, 17 novellas, and 11 short stories.
Yeah.
Sorry. It was right here.
But
It's a beautiful
I
cover.
would suggest it. Yes.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
I would definitely. This was the first. No, not the first book. It's like one of the only books that I listened to the audiobook and then immediately ran out and bought the hardcover copy because this was a great book.
Nice.
Fun fact, not that edition, which is the more like traditional one, but from his Kickstarter editions, the artist for that book is the daughter of my ex-girlfriend's coworker.
Wow.
Daughter of
Wow.
your ex.
Yeah.
It's a long way off, guys, but you can catch up with
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I'll upload the map. We'll get there. But yeah, she reached out. Her and her coworker were talking about sci-fi fantasy books, and her coworker mentioned that his daughter did artwork for this, and she reached out to me. And I'm pretty sure you probably know who this author is, right? I'm like, I absolutely know who this author is. I know which book is, and it is perhaps my favorite art of the four. I was very excited to know that my degrees of separation were really only like 2, something like that. Yeah.
You're basically best friends with
Brandon Sanderson. I could probably just set him up.
Basically.
Yeah. So,
First name.
Wait, Rico, are you a anime fan or manga fan?
I am not. No, I do not.
Oh, okay. Because that's the vibe I get from that.
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
That is the big vibe I get from Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. That's why I loved it, I think, so much. So
yeah,
if you are out there, go get it.
I agree.
All right, Jason, what are you reading right now?
Just earlier today, I finished the last book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. That is the spin-off series to Percy Jackson's and the Olympians, which we already mentioned. Yeah, so just coincidentally. And the reason I wanted to read that is because he just released a book last year that is a sequel to both Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus. Those kind of dovetailing. I had only read Percy Jackson previously in the past, so I felt like I needed to get caught up with Heroes of Olympus to read the next book. And so I have now done that homework, and so now I can finally move on to the next book. And that's what I just finished reading earlier today.
Nice. What about you, Bella?
Kind of in the same vein of Rico, to the point where I thought his note was my note. Because I've been reading the Percy Jackson, the Olympians series. So the original, the one the show is based on, and the old movies, which according to Father Rick, we don't acknowledge. We ignore them. We are retconning the movies. He was like, normalize ignoring bad movie adaptations. And I was like, thank you. I agree. So yeah, I've been reading the book. So I just finished Lightning Thief today, actually. And so moving on to Sea of Monsters next. It's been really fun reading these books as an adult because they're still really fun. Like there's so much nostalgia, but like I'm also like, wow, these were written for 12-year-olds. Like it's so funny just to think, like, I don't know, when you're a kid, this was like the best book I'd ever written, and now I'm an adult. I'm like, it's still really, really good. But yeah, I was definitely a kid when I first read that. But it still hits home, and I love the TV series. And Rick Riordan's such a good author. I mean, I couldn't read a lot of books that I read as a kid nowadays. Like there are very few books that still hold up the test of time. And remain unproblematic as an author. So I appreciate that about him. I hope that continues and I don't have to eat my words in like 6 months.
Yeah.
But it's been a good time.
Nice.
Lots of nostalgia. And it's fun watching the show at the same time and like comparing the book and the TV show. I'm not on a podcast about it, but I could be. I've read them now. I'm familiar with the content.
It's funny to know that I know someone who read them as a kid because I definitely read Percy Jackson when I was 29. I was a full grown.
Yeah, we're from different generations, so that the math on that one. I definitely read them when they were a little young for my age, but they were so good. Like I think I read them when I was like 14. Is when the first one came out. But my like sister and her friends, my sister's like 2 years younger than me. So maybe I was actually like 13. So she was in elementary school still. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'm going to read this. And I read them all in like a week, I think, especially as a kid. You're just like, I've got time. So that's what I did with my time.
I do want to clarify, I was not 29 when the books came out. Just I read them later.
That
I just want to clarify. I'm
Don't
not that
believe it.
old.
That would be very.
Don't
I'm not
believe
that
him,
old.
folks. Don't believe him.
Anyhow, let's Laura, what are you reading?
I am reading something completely different. I am reading Goldilocks by Laura Lamb, or also known as L.R. Lamb. It's described as for readers of The Martian and The Handmaid's Tale. It's basically the Earth is in environmental collapse, nothing new. But a team of women basically steal a spaceship to go and explore an experiment on this distant planet to see if they can make it habitable. I'm about 30% through so far, and I can't decide if I like it or not. I like
Okay.
I like the concept of it.
Mm.
But just it's just not very engaging, and it's kind of boring sometimes. And so I keep reading like maybe something more is going to happen, cuz I think the synopsis mentions something like during their trip, like they uncover these horrors or something like that. Like it implies that these really terrible things happen on this journey. The introduction implies it. And I was kind of excited because it goes back and forth between the journey and then the timeline leading up to it. So that itself reminded me of Project Hail Mary. So I was kind of excited to see like how things connect. But it just hasn't really caught my attention yet. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it to 50% and see how I feel then.
I want you to check in with me.
What was that?
I want you to let me know what you think of it when you get to your 50% mark or you finish it, because I have thoughts on it.
Did you read it?
I did read it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's been on my list for a few years now, and I've been going through my ebook TBR, all the books that I've already bought. So I was like just picking things at random, and that was the one I picked for this time. I was like, it's been here for forever. I should probably read it. But yeah, I'll let you know. All right, let's jump into our conversation about the book. It is, again, The Road to Roswell by Connie Willis. It is a science fiction romantic comedy that was published June 27th of 2023, so it's a fairly new book. I'm going to pick on Jason to read the synopsis for us.
Sure, I can do that. All right, the synopsis off of Goodreads is: when level-headed Francie arrives in Roswell, New Mexico for her college roommate's UFO-themed wedding, complete with a true believer bridegroom, she can't help but roll her eyes at all the wide-eyed talk of aliens, which obviously don't exist. Imagine her surprise then when she is abducted by one. Odder still, her abductor is far from what the popular media have led her to expect, with a body like a tumbleweed and a mass of lightning-fast tentacles. Nor is Francie the only victim of the aliens' abduction spree. Before long, he has acquired a charming conman named Wade, a sweet little old lady with a casino addiction, a retiree with a huge RV and a love for old westerns, and a UFO-chasing nutjob who is thoroughly convinced the alien intends to probe them and or take over the planet. But the more Francie gets to know the alien, the more convinced she becomes that he's not an invader, that he's in trouble and she has to help him. Only she doesn't know how, or even what the trouble is. Can Francie, stuck in a neon green bridesmaid's dress, save the world and still make it back for the wedding?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, before we get into spoilers, let's do our non-spoiler first impressions. Aaron, because you are our guest host, would you like to go first?
Non-spoiler first impression. I'm going to say It's good to put you to sleep.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is a drag on pop culture reference filled conspiracy theorist exposition on the highest level. And I could not care any less about 90% of the characters in this whole thing. And I feel like the character Indy had more personality than the rest of the crew.
Okay.
First impression.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Look, we asked for honesty and we got it. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have notes, by the way, to back up everything. I wrote notes.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah,
So I have notes.
You really recovered from your last appearance.
Well, I'll also say this. In between the last time that you guys had me on for, I've read a lot more books. Maybe 50 more books in between the last time you guys had me on the show. Mm-hmm. So I think my experience with stories now, and I've also kind of even written a book in between. So like there's my experience with the books and storytelling and like something beats now. It's more what's the word? It's more prominent to me whenever I'm reading something if it's really, really bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this kind of jumped out at me as like, oh man, I'm sorry. The only thing I felt bad for is when I looked up the author and I was like, I don't want to, rail on grandma. Like this is kind of feels like I'm going to, a retirement home and just lifting wheelchairs up and
wow.
But it has to be done.
It must be done.
Because the writing was just slow and I couldn't get it down. I'll go into it further, but that's the first. Yes, it was very slow and I didn't like it at all for that.
Okay.
All right.
Bella.
I'm kind of on Aaron's team here. This book did not do anything for me. At first I was so I kind of went into it blind. Like I did not look up what this book was about. Other than the title, Road to Roswell. I knew it had to do with aliens and Roswell, New Mexico. So like that was pretty obvious. Surprised to find that it like starts off with somebody going to somebody's wedding. And I was like, oh, did we get a rom-com in here? So I was excited. I was like, okay, maybe I can read this book. And then I found myself just not liking Francie very much. Like she's kind of annoying. Just purely like one-dimensional. I hate communication as a conflict. And that is like the whole center of this book is miscommunication between the humans. Cause they all have different opinions about what's going on. People are keeping secrets. Everyone's got their own shit going on. That's why they're in the desert in New Mexico. But then also between them and the alien. And that just like gets better, but it's still really fucking frustrating. Cause you're like, can I just know where you want to go? Where do you want to go? Could we learn enough of each other to like understand like what this, I don't know. I just felt like it was still really crazy by the end, even though they spent all this time together and like did kind of work out a system. But anyways, that's a little bit more into the book, but yeah, it just didn't do a lot for me. I was bored. I felt like the comedy was pretty like, I don't even know. There's a different word for it. Cheesy.
There's another 4-letter word I can think about.
Shit. It was shit.
That's a good one. Lame.
But
this is yours. I don't want to.
Yeah, I just like it wasn't funny to me. I don't know. Like it just was not my cup of tea. I don't think it was poorly written. I really just don't think it was my cup of tea. And I'm kind of like you, Aaron, where I was like, oh, this author is like well known for being a good writer. Like I feel bad being like, ooh, I don't like it, but I did not like it. So, but not because it was sci-fi. So I'll give it that. Like, it's not that I didn't like it because it was sci-fi. I didn't like it because I just didn't like. I think there were things that could have worked better that I'll have to talk about in the spoiler part.
Okay.
Oof. Right.
Jason.
Well, we are already 0 for 2. I thought this book was fine. I don't entirely disagree with Aaron or Bella. I thought it was really easy to get through. Like, it went pretty quick. I finished it pretty quickly. It's not a very difficult book, but it wasn't super engaging. Like Bella said, I don't think it was poorly written. It just wasn't for me. This book is very heavy on dialogue and inter-character like relationships. And sometimes books that rely heavily on that are just kind of a struggle for me. I much more care about like what the plot is and when it is happening. And this book, I felt like didn't really have a plot. It was you get abducted, you just kidnap people, drive around. The end. It's just like, what was actually the point of this book? And even when you get the resolution at the end, is like, okay, I guess that is a way to end the book for sure. Not the way I think I would have wanted this book to end. But if I can maybe throw in some good things, I did like Indy as a main character. And this book was surprising in that I felt like it's just kind of like a love letter to, at least that was kind of my takeaway, a love letter to things that people enjoy.
Yeah.
In one way, shape, or another. Like people have, I don't want to say specifically what that is. We'll save that for spoilers, but like people consume entertainment and hobbies in different ways. And we all have a relationship with that. And so I felt like it was kind of, I don't know, it kind of touched upon the way we have these relationships with things that surprised me. And maybe this is me pulling way more out of it than is actually there because I needed something to sink my teeth into. But that was a surprise for me that I actually enjoyed. So, and I'll say more in the spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah. Laura, what are your thoughts?
I'm honestly, I enjoyed this book a lot. I did not. I have read the synopsis, but I forgot it by the time I was reading it, and I didn't bother to read it again.
It's fair. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what I was getting, other than I remember it sounded like kind of a fun, maybe quirky story. Overall, I really enjoyed it. It was just kind of fun and frivolous. I do agree, though, that there were times that were really boring, or I don't know, some scenes were over dramatic or too long. But I mostly listened to the audiobook, and so I think maybe the narrator and how she did the different voices, or she kind of the way she portrays some of the feelings through their dialogue, that kind of thing, I think that maybe helped me enjoy it a little bit more sometimes. But there definitely were some flaws. There were things that the way it was written, sometimes I'd be like, I don't know why it's worded like that, or why is this detail here? This doesn't matter. But I tried to look past that because I am not a writer, so I was like, she's trying to communicate something to us. But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it.
And other people on the internet enjoyed it too.
Oh yeah.
Which baffles me. When I went and looked at the reviews for other people, I was like, are we all on crazy pills? Or
what? I don't trust the internet's opinion anymore. That's what I've learned through my After Dark picks.
And that's a good take. Yeah. It's a good take. But I also feel like the internet was like, I'm not about to roast grandma. I'm not going to get any cookies this Christmas. Wow. Like, that's what I feel like happened. Because if you go look at the Goodreads on this book, and you see the author's picture right there,
Mhm.
it might make you give her an extra star when this shouldn't get it. I'm sorry. Connie will be all right. Connie Willis will be all right. Just let her know. This is. Are we on spoiler territory now? I'm sorry, I don't want to jump the gun.
I think that's a good transition.
We can jump to spoilers. Hey book lovers, Laura and Jason here. We wanted to pop in here for a couple of quick New Year updates. Jason, would you like to share the first one?
Yes, I would. I am super excited to announce that we finally have a merch store. Woo-hoo! This is something that we've been working towards for a while. We've been wanting it for as long as I can remember, and we're excited to finally have it up and running. It's going to be a fun way for you to support us, but also to, represent us out in the streets if you are so inclined. We're still adding some new merch in the coming months, but right now you can find some shirts, hoodies, tote bags, throw pillows, and more in both the classic Shit We've Read blue, but also in some After Dark designs. So you can rep either or both, whatever you want. But yeah, super excited to have that up and running and to finally announce that. Laura, I think you have another announcement for us?
Yes, I am so excited to share we are officially a bookshop.org affiliate. So for anyone who isn't sure what that is, bookshop.org is a website that lets you buy books while also supporting your favorite bookshops and related affiliates. So you can go to our page and you'll see all of our books conveniently categorized by season and then also a separate After Dark list. And then you can also support us by using our link to order any other books that may not be on our page as well. So pretty exciting way to still get your books and support your favorite podcast.
Absolutely. You can find the links to both our bookshop.org affiliate page as well as our merchandise store on our website at shitweread.com as well as on our social media. So keep an eye out for both of those. Thank you so much for listening and for your continued support. Seriously, it means the world to us. Now let's get back to our episode.
Hey. So if anybody listening wants to read the book before we get into spoilers, pause here and come back. Or keep
listening and I can save you 14 hours. That would be the smart thing to do, in my opinion. But who am I? I'm just a person,
I will say I did listen to the audiobook, but I started with the ebook and was very disappointed to see it was a 14-hour audiobook. I was like, no.
What are we doing for 14 hours?
I was like, what kind of, this book seems lighthearted. I was like, it's got to be short. I don't think I looked at because I have a Kindle and it just tells me like percentage. So I didn't see like the page number until I looked at the audiobook and was like, 14 hours? How many pages is this book? Are you kidding me? Like, this is supposed to be like campy, rom-com fun. What the fuck about 14 hours?
So also, and we'll get into, because I feel like the romance or the rom was shoehorned in at the last minute.
Yeah.
And let's start there. I felt more romance between her, Francie, and Indy, the alien, than I did between her and Wade.
That's definitely correct. There was no romance between
I actually thought this was an accidental After Dark pick. I was like, tentacles? Rico's gonna love it, yeah.
I remember reading that, like, Bella's gonna hate this.
It's a rom-com? Did Rico pick this book? Like, I legitimately was like, no, this is an appropriate book. I'm just confused. There's tentacles and I'm feeling a vibe between Francie and the alien. She seems to really like when he tightens up on her. I don't know.
And he did a lot of that.
I did not see that as romance. I saw that as a child not knowing how to communicate to their mother.
Oh, that's really funny.
Oh, yeah, I never got any.
Like, Indy sometimes he would get angry and frustrated that she didn't understand him.
I totally understand seeing Indy as a child. Yeah. I don't see their relationship being a mother-child, but that's like, I think that's to each their own. That's like a perspective I didn't have, but I could see it once you pointed out, I guess. But I did see the child. Like, that's also where I was like, okay, so clearly they're not a thing, but like weird vibes. This author's into tentacles.
I don't
like
mind. I don't mind that there's a romance with Wade, between Francie and Wade. I just didn't see it coming because it wasn't
Really
written in the story.
I didn't either. I saw bits and pieces that they tried, like when they watch what is it, the sunrise or the sunset or something like that for the first time.
I guess.
I saw like they attempted, but and I love rom-coms. I love rom-com movies, I should state. I don't know if I've really read a rom-com novel.
Oh, Aaron, I got Rex for you. If you like a rom-com movie, let me tell you, I got him.
Yeah, well, then definitely. But
I'm surprised.
It.
I'm surprised that you guys didn't see the romance. I felt like it was so obvious. I mean, I know, not you. I'm saying these two.
Okay. Excuse me.
I felt like it was so forced from the very get-go. Yeah. It was like, okay, I see all the clues and all the little hints that other characters are saying. Like, I know where this is going to go. But I just didn't care, really. Like, I wanted to, and I think like I opened myself up more than I normally would because like this is what I'm getting. So let me try to enjoy the romance. It's inherently part of the book. And I was like, whatever, it's fine. But it was definitely there.
It didn't feel obvious enough for me. Because we're reading, it's third person, but it's still from Francie's perspective, right? So
yes,
we don't get very much throughout the book about how she feels or what she thinks about Wade. So we don't know that she's developing attraction to him. I can see the sunset thing a little bit, but like it for me didn't feel like it was far enough to be a romantic scene.
It felt like Stockholm syndrome. They were forced proximity.
Or that.
Yes. But I think the other thing is when you're in a rom-com and you have the two love interests, one thing that kind of gets you to buy in on it is you actually like those characters. Didn't care for those two.
Didn't like them.
From the jump, she could have hit him with the car in the beginning and it would have been fine. Like, and it was like, well, we just hit somebody, but I got an alien in the car and we're still going to wherever we're going. But as soon as his character, and I'm talking about Wade for those that are listening, as soon as Wade was introduced and his reaction to everything, I was like, that's an industry plant right there. He knows what's going on. Like he's too calm. No one on this planet would ever be that calm with Tentacruel or whatever Pokemon in the front seat, live and direct.
Yeah.
Like so that was a spoiler for me because I was like I instantly clocked it. Like this dude isn't on the up and up. Just happened to be in this spot at the right time.
Had a feeling very early on it was that FBI guy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Everything was so that's too easy. One. Then once we start picking up more travelers along the way, I feel like Francie became kind of a background character at points in what I assume is her own story. Because this was very dialogue heavy. Yeah. At times. And to me, that's kind of a trademark for, for me, it's a bad sign for a book. Cause like I need, when I was going through learning writing and stuff like that, kind of a good signature of a good flowing book is you have action, description, dialogue, and like internal like monologue or like thoughts and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. This one felt like we're going dialogue for a long time, little bit of action, then right back to dialogue. And when we start picking up when we start picking up more of the cast of characters on the way, it was just dialogue. And I was like, okay, Lyle gets in the car. he wants to spew everything about UFOs and like for no reason. At one point I was like, you could tell him to stop. Like you could just say, hey, I don't, this doesn't pertain to anything that we're doing right now. As well as, what's his name? Let me go to my notes real quick. Joseph. For the love of God, if you reference one more Western towards anything that we're saying, I am going to kick you out of your own RV. Because that's what it is. I don't care how rich you are. You have an RV. All right. So that was every time. And then it was, I was listening to the audiobook, and I don't know if you guys listen to audiobooks at a higher speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
But I had, there was no way I can listen to it at normal speed on this. There was no way. Cause like, it was just that monotonous. It was like, oh, well, I recorded too, like a little bit. Cause I wanted to share with Emma my boredness on this. I was like, there's so many pop culture references in this one sentence. And I'm normally not against that. Like, I don't really care for, if there's, but this had so many. Like, I feel like I watched all the Westerns. Like, and I don't like Westerns that much. So
yeah, I'm with you on that.
That was rough for, Joseph was probably my least favorite character.
Really?
Simply because of all of the Western references out of his mouth. The old lady, the gambler, was my favorite character, I would think. Yeah. That's not saying much.
I hated Lyle. Lyle, the alien dude. He was my least favorite by far. He was annoying as shit. Like, get him. Like, I don't like. What did he provide other than annoyance? And what alien knowledge? Like, we already have Wade who knows all of this because Lyle will say something. Wade responds like, "That's from this movie." So you already have two people who know everything about aliens. Get rid of one. It's extra fat. Cut it. But also, like, going back to the romance and how it relates to the cast of characters, I would have bought into Francie and Wade and their relationship if we didn't have the other characters. If we only followed them throughout the entire book, they would have to interact. They'd have to have more conversation. There would be more, intimacy. I don't mean like sexual, but just like two people being together. Yeah. You start introducing all these other characters. Now that's all spread out. And I'm focusing on all the relationships, not just theirs. So Connie did herself a disservice by introducing all these other characters that we didn't really need. But Lyle for sure was my least favorite. Easily.
I liked him in the beginning because I just thought it was funny. But similar to what Aaron was saying too, like it was just a lot. And it was constant. So I think that at a certain point she should have just found a way for him to stop talking.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just the fact that they were so one-dimensional. Like, that's really all right. That's all he did. That's like, they all were just kind of known for their little shtick. And I think that's kind of lazy. There wasn't a lot of like character development as a whole.
Right.
Now that you say that, I didn't even write that down. Yeah, there was no character development.
No.
I feel like everybody was, the same. Mm-hmm. And I guess maybe her intention was like, I just want a little fun adventure from point A to B. No. But we went all over the place. Like, it wasn't just a point A to B situation. It was...
And you're dealing with an alien that you're learning how to communicate with. Like, you think there'd be a little bit more growth, but really only saw it in like Francie and Wade, not really anybody else.
And to your point earlier, Bella, I definitely agree with, I did not care for the lack of misunderstanding or whatever between Francie and Indy the whole time. Like I don't know how to communicate with this being. Like, it's throughout the whole book. And it's just like, at some point, I don't know, write it down on a piece of paper or something, like, because it just took too long for them to kind of get there.
Indy reconfigured the car at the beginning to not run on gas, but couldn't figure out how to communicate effectively with the humans.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That to me was
That's
like
exactly. Hold on, I gotta find my exact words because I said that exact thing.
Did you really?
I said you have intergalactic travel. You can transform a car to run on without gas, but you don't know what basic words are? Are you serious? Get out of here. You couldn't, I can't even, now I don't even know where my note is on all this. I said that exact same thing. I was screaming it.
Yeah, like I feel like there was
is...
a lot of like suspend your disbelief. Like Francie and Wade can go however many days without food and water in the desert. Like I kept forgetting they were in the desert at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's hot as fuck. It's cold at night. Like she's in a dress. I don't know. I can't remember what Wade is wearing, but there was a lot of suspending disbelief that I just couldn't get beyond. Like,
that's what it was. Sorry. I found it. I was like, the alien has intergalactic travel, powers to make cars not run on gas, immunity to lightning, right? And cannot tell a human is wearing clothes. Like freaks out when somebody comes in with a different pair of clothes. Like that made no sense to me. And she had to explain like, this isn't my skin. And I was like, yeah, it's clothing. You've seen people. Like, what are you talking about? How is this? And these were supposed to be the smart ones, these aliens, because they came down and researched weather and stuff like that to help save their planet. No, their planet's doomed. Their planet is doomed because
this is who you said your planet is doomed.
Yeah, this can't be it. So if I'm supposed to suspend, no, I refuse to.
Yeah.
I refuse to.
That's how I felt. Yeah.
You have some of these things you have to make sense. Some of these things.
I will agree overall that the logic was convenient at any given moment. Like there was not a consistent logic for what the alien could and couldn't do and how advanced they were and what, yes, like don't understand clothing, but can convert a car. I felt like Indy was a little bit of like a Mary Sue, if I could use that term. Like he can create these bubbles to protect them from stuff. He can communicate. He can write on his tentacles. He can stretch as long as he needs to. He can fit into any little size he needs to. He's telepathic, we find out. And that is where it lost me because the issue of him not being able to communicate throughout the book was never an issue for me. That's, I feel like, part of the course for a lot of alien stories of like learning to communicate. And I felt the attempts were there and they just weren't hitting. And that's fine. I could suspend my disbelief enough to like go on board with them learning how to communicate until the very end when we find out he's been telepathic the entire time. And then it's like, well, then you could have avoided all of this. And the one little throwaway line of like, oh, well, we don't do that. That's taboo. You know what? If I'm telepathic, sure, I don't want to read people's thoughts. That's intrusive. If I land on a brand new planet and I'm trying to communicate and it's not working, you know what? I'm gonna peek a little bit. I'm gonna help us out just a smidge.
Yeah.
I thought they said that was illegal to read minds.
Yeah, it was illegal, but that's the saying. But like,
no, but I'm saying to your point, it's illegal to read minds, but you've already broken a law by coming down here anyway.
Exactly.
According to them, and done all this research and stuff on the weather patterns. So if we're already criminals, what's the extra charges? Like let's go ahead and let's go the full Monty. Let's read their brains, hold your tentacle up, and write stuff. Like,
well, it's kind of like, who's gonna know? How are they gonna know? Nobody's gonna know. Like
exactly.
What the humans are gonna go tell people?
Okay,
no. All right, Laura, you have some thoughts.
But how do we know he would have even been able to communicate in a way that they understand?
Because he did as soon as they start showing him literature.
But no, telepathically, like when you think telepath, you can talk to each other with their mind.
Yeah.
The language
doesn't know
Sure.
English. He doesn't know how to speak English.
That's I get you. The language would definitely be different. But they got from point A to point B when he started to look at like
he started learning words. Yeah.
Started learning words. So I assume since he's been on the planet, he's seen signs everywhere because we have signs everywhere.
Mhm.
If he's reading their mind, they're looking at things and he's hearing a language. He's like, okay, they clearly, communicate. That there has to be, it shouldn't have been that big of a leap for an extraterrestrial, I'm saying. It shouldn't have been that.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do we as a group think that telepathy works in a language?
That's a good question.
Because I always assume that telepathy is not a language. Telepathy is an idea, is a thought. It's
okay.
If you're looking at a thing, this is what that representation in your mind is, and I can identify that. I may not know it. I may not know this is called a microphone in your mind, but I know this is what you talk into to record audio. Okay, I get that.
If I think of Twilight, it always comes back to Twilight.
Wow.
I know. But it's always relevant. If you think about like Edward and Renesmee, Edward can hear people's thoughts and they come through like words. But Renesmee can give people like pictures. That's how she's able to communicate as a child, is to like touch people and show them what she wants. Like she shows them food, or she shows them like a person. Like, I want to be in my grandmother's arms now. Like, bye, mom. She shows a picture of her grandma by like touching somebody. So I'm just like, if telepathy can work with images, then why couldn't that have been the way that it worked for the book?
Do you know why though, Bella? You know why it didn't work like that in both your ways, Rico and Bella? Why it didn't work that way? Because the author didn't do anything like that. She refused to expand on ideas that she put in there. So you're just left with, well, I guess I got to take what you said. It's illegal. That's why they didn't go into their mind. Like, no, and to her credit, it's probably not that important for what she was trying to get at. She wanted to make something fun and lighthearted and stuff like that. Well, it's sci-fi. And sci-fi, I don't know. I feel like this probably would have been better if it was a Hallmark movie.
For sure.
And a short story, like maybe 5 pages, not 400. Like, it didn't need to be that long. I didn't need that many references. Each chapter starts off with a pop culture reference, like a movie, a sci-fi movie, correct? A quote from a movie. Yeah. I didn't need that. What did that have to do with anything? Like, that wasn't fun for me. It didn't make me feel more sci-fi or anything like that. It was just extra fluff. Like, I didn't need that. That time she spent on finding those quotes should have been spent on expanding these characters and making them more likable.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that last statement you just said. She could have spent the time on writing the book. But I will disagree with like the movie quotes in there and it just being fluff. That for me is what I mentioned earlier. Like, this to me was kind of a love letter to our relationship with movies and how we enjoy movies. Like, Lyle loves alien movies, right? He's going to tell you things. He has the encyclopedic knowledge of what was in what movie. It's all wrong, but he has that connection to movies. Joseph has that connection to Western movies. That's what he loves. And it's each chapter starts with a movie quote or two, whatever. It's like, that was what was surprising for me, that I didn't realize this book was going to be so heavily dependent on like our relationship with movies and how we consume them and how they mean different things to different people. Right. And the type of movie you consume says a lot about you. And it dictates who you are as a person. And again, I am probably making this way bigger than it needs to be, but like that was genuinely surprising for me, and like one kind of positive takeaway I had of like, okay, I can relate to that as someone who likes watching movies, as someone who's recently been watching a lot of really bad movies on purpose.
I was like, what? I thought you chose that. Okay, that makes sense.
No. Like, I could appreciate the author trying to say something. Was it easy to decipher? could the author have said more with it? Could a better author perhaps got that messaging across more concisely and in a better way? For sure, I'm not denying that, but I think it's still in there if you're willing to like take that away from it.
I don't think Connie's that deep. I think Connie's very surface level.
Wow.
I think this is not a direct attack at Connie, even though it sounds like it. You know, it might be. I don't know. Come at me, Connie. Whatever. Whatever. You know, I think this was and I have nothing to back this up. This is just me talking this out of the side of my face here. But I think this was a let me, like, what do I like? I like Westerns. What else do I like? I like sci-fi. Let me make a story that's kind of
all of the above
and thoughtless,
but also none of the above at the same time.
You don't have to think about it too much. You just gotta, maybe have fun with it. Like, this would be a story that she would tell like the grandkids, and they would be excited. Like, where are we going next in the RV? Oh, they're going to get married and stuff like it came out of it. It just kind of like a string of thoughts. It seemed like there was no prep or planning to this. It was just, I'm going to sit down and start typing, and we'll see where it goes. I've got a bunch of DVDs next to me. I'm going to look over to the left sometime, and I'm going to write down maybe a little reference to the one I see. And that's how it's going to go. But I just could not get past all of the, everything leads back to a movie reference. Like, every situation we're in, like if they had went and robbed a bank, I would have got a heist movie reference or something like that. Like, because I feel like people don't talk that way. Like, everything doesn't relate back to, all the movies you watched consecutively in each sentence that you say. And if I ever spoke to somebody like that, I would have to tell them to stop, please. Like, you're going to have to, Joseph, you're going to have to stop with all the references. I'm sorry. Like, every sentence you have is a reference back to one of your movies and DVDs. I didn't have fun with that. I can see, though, Jason, where somebody that is, because with the way you just explained it, saying this is a love letter to those people that do like those films and stuff like that, I can see where those people would have fun with this. So, like, for sure. I thought it was a love letter to the conspiracy theorists. That's what Lyle was, there for. Like, because he went over everyone. If you took every other character out of this and you just listen to Lyle, he goes off on almost every single conspiracy theory, and right or wrong or whatever, he hits like all the beats. So I was like, okay, you're in it for you want to hear. And I like a good conspiracy theory, but it's just I don't like it rattled off, in a book so much. Damn. So yeah, no, didn't I don't want to be, Captain Hate. There was some good in this. The concept of a like intergalactic union of aliens that are all, that all govern a bunch of different, races and species, and they have rules for everything. I really enjoyed that part, but it came 12 hours into the book. So like, it was like a little too late for me. But like when that part, by that time things were happening. And then it even still got slow, because when she was in the interrogation room, she was having a communication problem with the new aliens, where every 3 seconds they were like, explain that. I don't need exposition book. I don't like, I didn't need any of that. I didn't need her to explain honor to the aliens and then let me hear it all out, or these other concepts like that. That was irritating to me, because I thought we were getting somewhere, and then you went right back to the old, communication problems trope. Yeah. So I was like, well, we're back in this boat again. That's good. Cool.
I really felt that with the interrogation scene. I was getting pretty bored at that point and wondering what was the point of this.
I was like, just start intergalactic war. Let's just do it. Let's do it now.
Just make something happen.
Yeah, like
anything.
something needs to happen. Yeah, because again, like I said, whenever the good, I feel like the good mark of a good book is you got to have those things. Like they have to flow well. You have to have some action. You have some descriptions of things that are around, some dialogue. But like it was so dialogue heavy and nothing was happening. It was just like, well, I can't sit and listen to these guys all the time. Like it's not working for me.
And that's generally why I hate like a road trip movie or book. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of talking and a lot of like getting to know one another, but nothing's really happening in the book.
What did you guys think of the aliens in general? Because they were all they were described as like all plants, like evolved plants.
I thought that was fine. I mean, there's multiple ways you can go with aliens. You could have they could have made them like Star Trek is predominantly humanoid type of aliens, throughout their whole thing. Or you can go with these like this kind of they look nothing like humans. I feel like to me it just kind of seemed like it was just an abstract idea. Like there was nothing to latch on. There was no face that I could think of. Like it was just squiggles. And
yeah,
I just think like squiggly doodles on a paper, even though it was described as vines and stuff like that. But it's just like, okay, but what is that? I would have liked to see the other aliens, but all we got was aloe vera.
Was the one.
That's what we got.
I thought it was a missed opportunity to showcase a wider range of aliens. Like if this is some sort of galactic council, whatever thing, like it has a bunch of different aliens in it, then like show us a wide variety, right? Give me like 2 buddy cop aliens and one is vines and one is like a fucking slug or something. And like, all right, they don't match at all, but they're like, we're partners, Like it was a missed opportunity to just be a little more creative. So yeah, to like Aaron's point, I didn't really spend time imagining what they look like because the way he said it actually is perfect. There were just kind of squiggles in my mind. There were just some generic form in my mind of like, okay, this is the alien. Insert alien image here. Yeah.
Bella, what did you think about the aliens?
I mean, you guys said it. I don't have anything to add. I feel like I still can't even really, I just can't really picture them. The descriptions were hard for me. I don't know. I think generally it was hard for me to like really pay attention to this book. So like, I couldn't even describe Francie to you. Like, I don't know if Francie was ever described.
I don't think she really was.
Good gravy. Was she not? No. Now that I think about it,
because I normally highlight when there's descriptions of what people look like, and I don't have one for Francie.
Oh my god!
We only get descriptions of her clothes.
Yeah, of like the dress and like when she changes and all that. Yeah.
So I let it slide only because I can imagine, like I put my own imagination into characters anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just gonna think about what I think about.
Right.
So I just let it slide. But now that you bring it up, that's even more irritating now. that I know that there was no description.
That's my job, is just to irritate.
I don't know.
Y'all.
Well, some authors don't specifically don't describe the main character because they want you to picture yourself in that role.
That's bad.
It depends. I think it depends on the story.
No, not in general. I'm not saying that's bad. I mean for this story specifically.
Oh yeah.
No, because I've read other books where you've said the same thing, and they kind of light on the description of the main character, and that's fine. But for this one, this specific, I was like,
well, did they describe Wade?
Yes.
Like physically?
He was wearing jeans and a blue denim shirt and had a khaki duffel bag. He was not much older than her. He had a thatch of straw-colored hair and a
okay, I did remember
nose.
that. Okay, I thought maybe I imagined that, like put it in my head. Because I was like, I can't remember Francie being described. And I was like, so did I imagine Wade? Or is that what he really looked? Or was that described to me? Okay. Well, that's a little bit more forgiven. But still.
Lyle's was a little less descriptive. It just said he was short with a crew cut, wearing a black t-shirt and cargo shorts.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I imagined at all for Lyle. He was a comic book guy from Simpsons.
Worst reading ever.
I could see that.
Yeah. Google that if you don't know who that is, Bella. That's who he was for me.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I think we maybe talked this one out enough. My last question: do you believe in aliens?
I would say, yeah, and I've had this question asked to me before. I would say yes, only in the fact that the universe is so gigantic. I don't know to what level of intelligence, but like if there's I definitely believe there's like fauna out there, like somewhere. Yeah, that's an easy one for me. The universe is too gigantic for there not to be at least one other group of something out there. So, yeah, I'll say yes. Simple yes.
Jason, I saw you stroking your chin.
Yeah, I go back and forth. Like Aaron's saying, in some form, I think aliens exist. Bacteria, microorganisms, some sort of plant life. Yes, I think there is some sort of life out there because the universe is just too large for there not to be something. If you're asking about intelligent life, that's where I struggle more. I don't think aliens, in the sense that they're coming here and abducting us and doing crop circles, exist. If they exist, maybe they're just kind of like us and in their own corner of the universe. But in general, I kind of subscribe to the idea that life here on Earth is kind of an accident. Like so many things had to happen and mutate and line up for it to happen. That I like the idea that we are unique in the universe because it's just such a small chance it could happen again. But I don't know. I don't know. I do not know.
Okay, Bella.
Similar to those guys is that I think it would be stupid to say that they don't exist at all. I don't know what they look like or how advanced they are. But I think something is out there. I don't think it's what we think it is necessarily, like like Rico said, like crop circles or like alien invasions that want to destroy us, like Lyle. Yeah, I just think there might be something else out there, even if it is just, microorganisms. So
I think we're all on the same page there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an intergalactic union of aliens out there that say, do not come to Earth and mess with us because it's against the law. So yeah, we're all on the same page.
There you go.
Yeah.
If this podcast goes out into the universe and you're an alien listening to it, drop a comment on Instagram. Let us know where you're from, what you look like, what you thought of the book.
Like, we agree Connie Willis is a so-so writer.
Okay. Well, this book is currently rated 3.77 on Goodreads out of
baffling
a little over 4,000 ratings. So what would you guys rate it?
Does anybody else want to go first, or should I?
I'll go first. No, I can go.
Yeah.
If I'm being nice to all the people who did enjoy it, like Laura, like a 3. If I'm talking
this is your rating.
For me?
Yeah. Yes.
Ooh, like a 2? I would not read this again. And if there's a sequel, I don't want to read it.
Okay. A 2.
I wish I could get my time back.
Okay. Aaron.
Oh, yeah. I'm here. I won't be nice. If it wasn't for the podcast, and I've said this before, I would have I wouldn't have finished this book. I think as soon as Lyle hit the scene, I probably would have closed it and shelved it. I gave it a 1.5, and the half is only because of the intergalactic union of aliens. Just that concept being mentioned gave it a 0.5 star.
Okay.
But it was probably better than 90% of the rest of the plot. And they were only mentioned once in like the second to last chapter or something like that. Like, so yeah, no, it's a bad book. And I've read bad books before, but this one
takes the cake.
It's tied with other bad books that I've read that are 1 stars. I won't say the names because it's pretty vulgar, but it's definitely a 1 star. Yes.
Okay. All right. What about you, Jason?
I'm giving it 3 stars. It was fine. It wasn't anything amazing, revolutionary. I didn't hate it nearly as much as Aaron or Bella. The things that were frustrating were not so frustrating that I hated the book. I thought the book was repetitive, but like I said earlier on, overall, I felt like it was just easy to get through. Like there's like nothing of substance to like hold me up. I just was going through it. So I don't know. I think it's fine. Laura?
It's fine. Okay. I would also give it a 3. Again, I enjoyed it overall. You're right in that it was easy to get through for me. Listening to the audiobook, I was able to just listen as I was doing things. So I think I finished it a lot faster than I expected because of that. So I mean, I feel like if people are looking for a more lighthearted kind of sci-fi, this might still be for them. If you're very specific, like Aaron and Bella, then maybe not look at this book. But I don't know. I thought it was. I recommend it personally.
Really, you would look somebody. You would look a friend in the face and say, "Hey, you should read this."
I would.
Just punch me then.
If I read this on my own, I honestly would have told Jason to read it.
Really? I would recommend this book.
Do you hate Rico?
I know. I'm rethinking our friendship. I don't think I'd recommend this to you. Wow. Okay. I have to do some heavy thinking tonight.
But here's the thing. Like, you both like Skyward.
Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing. Some movies only exist to be. Oh, sorry, not movies. Movies too. Some form of entertainment only exists to be the hallmark of that entertainment style, right? Hallmark movies only exist to be Hallmark Christmas movies. They're not trying to be Oppenheimer. They're not trying to be Saltburn or anything else, right? It's just, I want a story I can just sit through and leave and move on to the next. It entertained me for those 2.5 hours as a movie. This book entertained me for 14 hours as a book. There's nothing in here.
The whole time?
Yeah, entertainment isn't always good. Overall. Entertainment is just I'm being entertained. My mind is being entertained. I'm being told things. My mind is focusing on that.
At one point.
Well, you need to take more naps.
Yo, though, like,
and that's fine.
14 hours,
and that's a form of entertainment. I mean, I sped up, so I got through it quicker than that. This book didn't require anything mental.
I fell asleep.
Well, I don't tell you.
It didn't require emotional.
I just listened to it and went through it and was done. I'm like, cool, that was a book. I could put on Goodreads and move on to the next.
So this book, you, from what you're saying, and I've had these discussions before with friends before, is you can just kind of get into it, turn your brain off. You don't have to think too much. You just enjoy the ride along the way, right? That's kind of how you're saying?
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So before this book, would have agreed with you. Like, there are some books you can just turn your brain off and you can just enjoy. But then I found this book and I was like, there is no possible way that I could turn my brain off enough. You know, I would probably be catatonic if I turned my brain off to the degree that I needed to get to this one.
Dang.
So, and it makes me rethink. It makes me rethink my thoughts of, you can turn your brain off to some of these things, and that's a little upsetting because it puts the spotlight back on my previous decisions like that. But there was no way I kind of could, and it may be a personal thing. It most likely is a personal thing because of the book I read before. I literally just read Words of Radiance. You know, it's this gigantic epic, and then I went right into this one. So the imbalance of it just has to be said, the imbalance of skill between the authors is just kind of too obvious for me to ignore, is what I'll say.
Okay.
And I'm sorry if it came off as like really, really hateful. I don't intend for it. It's just the experience I had with it. Like, if I went to a restaurant and I ate something that was bad, I'm going to let you know. It's not personal. You just didn't cook that well this time. Like, my bad, you know? Mm-hmm. So, again, I don't think I could turn off my brain enough for that.
We all have the books where we can't do that. I mean, we've read some books like that for After Dark. There are books where I can for sure just turn off my brain and get through it and be fine. This is one of those for me. But then I've read other books where I rated them a 1 because I could not do that. For whatever reason, personally, I just could not get through it in a way that was fine. This book just happens to be that for you, and that's totally okay.
No, you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Connie Willis is going to put a hit out on me after
Absolutely.
this.
Oh my God.
Don't you dare show up in Denver, Colorado, because she will.
Yeah, never going to set foot in that town. That is her town. She will never let me set foot.
All right. Well, before we wrap things up completely, let's quickly chat about what we are reading next. Let's start with Bella.
What am I reading next? I'm actually looking at one of the books, so I'll start with that one. How about that? Other than the next Percy Jackson book, I also have on my TBR A Long Time Dead by Samara Brager, maybe. It is a sapphic vampire romance. And it was one that I actually got, like, I found it on TikTok. Like, people were like, this is amazing.
I thought you said you didn't trust TikTok anymore.
Yeah, that means they're going to hate it.
Can I finish? And then Z read it. Z, another guest host we've had. Okay. And they really enjoyed it. And this is actually their copy of the book. So they really liked it. And they tried to be like, oh, like, it's like a little bit spicy. And I was like, Z, how, like, what does that mean? You gotta tell me. I'm like, how explicit are things? Because they were like, oh, like maybe like 2 or 3 chilies. And I was like, first of all, I hate that. Second of all, what does that mean to you? Because I'm reading things that are like 5 chili peppers, according to Book Talk. Things that are like, you're getting dicked down and it's everything. You're reading everything. There's no fade to black. And they were like, okay, so then maybe 1 chili pepper. So we'll see. But I was still like, I'm excited. I haven't read like a good vampire book in a while. So I'm excited. We're gonna see how it goes. And then the other one just came out, is called Most Ardently, a Pride and Prejudice remix by Gabe Cole Novoa. And this is an Achillean romance with a trans character, Oliver Bennett. So no Elizabeth Bennet here, and Mr. Darcy. So I'm excited to see it does center like their queer romance, and that is kind of part of the conflict that they have. But much like the original, I hope there's a happy ending, which I think there is. So I'm excited to read that. I've had the arc for a while. It just came out, so now I will read it.
Emma's been posting about it a
Oh,
lot, telling people.
Yeah,
to read
Emma
it.
was like, "Why did it make me cry?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" So that makes me want to read it more because I've also been looking for like a really good emotional book. Like I feel like I've read a lot of fun books, a lot of smut books, not a lot of like, wow, this really like touched my heart books. So hopefully that will be it for me. So
Nice.
I'm excited starting it off with some good queer romance books for 2024. So
Cool.
What about you, Laura? What are you reading?
Oh, me? You know what? I'm not really sure what I'm going to read next, but I'm considering doing a reread of Project Hail Mary because I recently,
I still have to read that.
literally the last couple of days, both my dad and my brother texted me saying that they started the audiobook and they both loved it. So now I'm like
Should I
geeking
read
out
that again?
talking to them
Yeah.
about it. So
Yeah.
I might listen or read that again next.
Amazing.
Aaron, what are you reading next?
I'm gonna jump back into the Skyward series, most likely. The novella Red Dawn, I think it's called, or Redawn. That's what it
Redawn,
is.
yeah.
Not Red Dawn. Yeah, it's Redawn. I think the other one is Ever Shore. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to those two, and then if I ever get a moment to like just sit down and not be bothered by anything. Because normally I'm listening to audiobooks while I'm at work. But I do have a physical copy of a book called Finding Malby. And it's a very old book. So there's no audiobook for it because I've looked. But it's the inspiration for one of my favorite books called, favorite movies called The Mighty Quinn, starring Denzel Washington. It's an old, like 1989, I think, movie or something like that. But it's one of the first stories that I can think of as a child that I really wanted to read, but never. I felt I wasn't intelligent enough. Mind you, this is like second grade Aaron. This is a thick novel. Yeah, this is a thick novel.
You're like, I was stupid.
Yeah, like I didn't know anything. Like, how do I get this book? Or I just remember my mother and my sister talking about the novel whenever we were watching the movie, and I was like, I never read the book. I want to talk about this stuff, like how we talked about, like today. I like discussing stuff. So if I ever get to sit down, so I found it finally after years, decades, and I have the physical copy, and I want to actually sit down and read the whole thing. And I have to remind myself that it's a very old book, so it is not modern. So there are some themes that are probably very old and outdated in it. And I have to, be like, hey, just remember, this is a product of its time. That's what it is. So
yeah.
So that's what I'll be reading. Some Sanderson and some really old stuff.
Nice. All right. Last but not least, Jason, what are you reading?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I got to say, I love that you're reading that for second grade, Aaron. So I'm sure you're very happy.
Yes.
Next up for me is The Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan, which I mentioned earlier is the new book that came out last year. And that is the next book in the Percy Jackson series and also a continuation of the Heroes of Olympus series.
Ooh, I'll look that up. I almost looked that up.
Don't look it up. Don't look it up.
Yeah.
No, that's
okay,
So it's book 6 of the Olympian series. So I'll be reading that next. And then once I finish that, I'm going to be good to finally start watching Percy Jackson on the Olympians on Disney+. I've been just kind of holding off until I made my way through.
You've been waiting till you've read the whole series?
Well, I don't need to because Here's Olympus isn't what's in the series, but also they're being released weekly, and I don't really want to wait for that.
That's
like
true.
each episode.
Well,
so I've been kind of just waiting.
That makes more sense than I needed to finish all the books.
I like finishing things, like reading things before I watch them, like even if it's like a refresher. So I would have read, even if I didn't go the Heroes of Olympus route, I would have read Chalice of the Gods first and then watch the series.
Interesting.
I'm waiting for God's Watch before I watch the series.
Aren't we all?
It's coming. It is coming. Right after this, I have to go work. So
All right. Well, let's close up then. This was a fun episode, even though we kind of picked things apart.
Hey, you can find fun in that.
I feel like it's been a while since we've had an episode where like there's a good divide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of either are all on or all off. This was definitely
Civil War.
Yeah. It's nice having discussions where we don't always agree on things. You know?
sure.
It's civil conversation.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody, all of our listeners, for tuning in for this episode. Next episode is going to be After Dark, and is my pick. We're going to be reading and discussing the book Good Deeds by Catherine Moon. It's a reverse harem romance novel starring a feisty heroine and 5 fritzing hot android heroes. I'm excited to read this.
That sounds like such a Laura book. I'm excited to read it too. I'm so excited to read it too.
Aaron, thank you again for being on the show with us. I am sorry you didn't like it as much. Maybe next time we'll let you pick the book.
No. It's fine. Good or bad, I just like talking about the book. So like, you know, if it's a bad book, it's a bad book. It's a good book's a good book. It's fine.
Okay.
It's like talking about books. Yeah. I hope you have me back on after I've, you know, set the Connie Willis fans after you guys, and you guys get bad emails from her people.
It's okay. We'll blame it on you.
Oh yeah, forward them straight to me. I will answer every single one.
Yeah, we'll give her your home address and your cell phone.
I will answer every single one of them. Send it straight to me.
Again, we keep bringing up God's Watch. Aaron, where can people listen to this?
It should be on everything. Spotify is my preferred listening platform. They're not sponsored by us or anything. It's easy for me. But it's everywhere. iTunes, Spotify. Just look up BYLO Watch, BYLO Watch. And you can actually catch up on all the different shows that we've watched and talked about. So, yeah.
Nice. Again, I'm excited for it. All right. Well, again, thanks to all the listeners for tuning in. We would love to know what your thoughts are on The Road to Roswell and any other book from any other previous episodes. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, aka X, and also on TikTok. We are at Shit We've Read. Thanks, everybody.
Klaatu, Narada, Nikto.
Live long and prosper.
I hate that.
Across the streams.
It is a sci-fi episode. I'll let you do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Nanu.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Shit We've Read is hosted by Laura Benson, Jason Rico, and Bella Romero, with music by Joshua Chilton and editing by Jason Rico.
To join the discussion on this and all other books we've read, find us at Shit We've Read on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.
For more information about us or to request transcripts, please visit shitwe'veread.com.
This podcast is part of the BYLO Network. Visit BYLONetwork.com for more great geeky podcasts.
Thanks so much for listening.